then thank you so much for watching, and please do consider subscribing so that you can see the next video where I actually read something maybe. No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to finish my entire TBR, and it'll be this great underdog come from behind story because I won't have done anything for the first part of this week. It'll be a really great moment for all of us. Good morning. So it is Friday. It is 8 o'clock right now, so I have 1 hour until the first makeup session for that class that I was teaching for the past 3 days. Once I get this one out of the way, then I get to do more reading, and also my boss was awesome and said that because of all this and because of how stressful this week has been for me, that I can just take off after my class and then also after our team meeting that we have. And I do technically have one other meeting, but I'm hoping that I can do some shuffling around and just be like done at 1 o'clock. But we'll see. I did read a bit more last night in bed before the coffee gets cold, but like literally only 10 more pages because I was really tired. So hoping to finish Before the Coffee Gets Cold today and start The Body by Stephen King. And then of course still make my 50 pages of progress in The Vanishing Half. I feel very tentatively confident in myself right now. Get ready to be super proud of me because I have been crushing it. Okay, so let's go over how much I've read today. Also, I weirdly slowly decided to just be in the middle of all of my books with the exception of March, the graphic novel. So weird decisions were made on my part. So first of all, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, I finished the first story and I started the second one. I'm only like 10 pages into the second one though, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's so good. And then I read my 50 pages of The Vanishing Half, and technically a little bit extra just because I wanted to finish the chapter that I was like in the middle of. So yeah, I'm getting really close to the end now and really enjoying it. I mean, the characters have been done like so well, and I don't usually like historical fiction, but I've really been liking this. And there are like times when they would start in a new like kind of era, since it jumps around in time a lot, and I'm like, ugh. But then like I get into it and I get to like into like the story and the characters of it, and I totally like lose sight of the time that we're in, and it's just about like the people that are there and their stories and everything, and then I really enjoy it. And next, I actually started Such a Fun Age, which I didn't expect to start now. I was gonna start that like once I finished other books. I wanted to just be listening to an audiobook, and that one I had the audiobook from the library, so I figured why not? And I got through a quarter of that. Pretty happy with that one. I might read some as the ebook since I have that from the library as well, but I'm really enjoying the audiobook. Just like the friend group of the main character, I'm really loving. There's something right now about reading books about friends hanging out together that is so comforting. And sometimes it's a little bit sad because like I can't go do that with my friends, but usually it's just like, I don't know, you feel like you're a part of it or something, and I've just been really enjoying that aspect of the book so far. And then I read outside for a bit, so I started The Body by Stephen King, which is supposed to be my entirely outdoor book. So I got a bit past 40 pages into this. I was hoping for closer to 60 because that would be a third of it, and considering there are 3 days left of the reading rush, including today, that would have been very good progress for me. But it got dark, and the mosquitoes came out, and I stayed out there for as long as I could without turning on the porch light to be able to see the book, like to actually be able to read, because once that porch light turns on, then like it's like bug central. Also, I'm going to like destroy this book from only reading it outside. Like the pages are already getting wavy from the humidity. But I'm really enjoying this so far. It's very similar to the movie as far as I can tell, but it definitely has a lot more backstory, and it was like backstory immediately, like all 4 kids, boom, backstory. And once again, it's like a friend group that you get to be a part of, even though they're like young boys, but they're each dealing with a lot. It's weird. They both seem very mature and very childlike at the same time. I'm enjoying all of the books that I'm reading, so I'm really, really happy about that. I think that that's a huge win. And I think that I can get through my entire TBR for the reading rush, which is kind of crazy. Mask because I've been using one that I made like right when this all started for a long time, and I used like the CDC's guidelines for a pattern, the only one that actually used a sewing machine. And I mean, they were just trying to get people out there like making them, so I understand why it was such a simple thing, and honestly that was probably helpful. But this is my original one, and now I'm really proud because this is my new one. It's so much better. Yay. So good morning. Confession, it's not actually morning, it's 2:30. Yeah, I just haven't filmed anything today. I don't think, I'm trying to think if I even filmed a single clip. I don't think so. Oops. Basically, I stayed up a bit later last night and got through more of Such a Fun Age until I was at the halfway point, and then this morning when I woke up, I just immediately started back in on that book and finished it because it was so good. Oh my gosh, I loved that book so much. I loved Amira and her friends, and specifically Zara. Oh my gosh, she's so great. And I was like, oh, I need a Zara in my life. And then the other characters that were in the story were very like morally gray characters. It's still bad to be thinking the way that they're thinking, but they think that they're doing the things they're doing for a good reason. And it's neat to be like in the head of the characters and being like, I understand why you thought this was a good idea, but like, no, it's not. Don't do that. So I actually ended up finishing The Vanishing Half. It's like 12:30, I think. I wasn't even planning on reading this at all tonight. Yeah, so now I've at least finished 2 books for the reading rush, and now I have The Body left, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and March. So I think I can do all of those tomorrow. So it's 4:30 now, and I'm only just now finishing editing. I was working on it this morning, and then I cooked some food for like a late breakfast brunch-ish thing, but now I'm kind of under a time crunch because I do have a lot of reading still to do tonight. But I was mostly worried about not being able to finish The Body outside. I think what I might do is, because I only just finished editing and I still have to do the thumbnail for that video and like make sure it gets posted and everything. So what I might do is go outside and read March instead, and just finish that out since it is a graphic novel and it should be quick. And I think reading all of that will be faster than finishing The Body. So my video for part 1 of this is rendering right now. I'm going to work on the thumbnail, which is generally a pretty quick process for me. I'd like to get better at it and do more fun thumbnails, especially since I have like an actual drawing tablet, which I love. This is like my favorite thing ever. And I feel like I could do so much more with my thumbnails, but I just haven't given myself like ample time to do it, and by the time I'm doing the thumbnail I'm already like too excited about publishing the video that I don't want to take too long on the thumbnail. So I'm just gonna like really quickly do one. It is so very warm out here. I do not like this at all. So definitely going with March, seeing if I can get all the way through, and I've at least got cold beer, so I should be okay.
Okay, so it's time for the wrap up. I'm a bit sad. It's actually the next day. It's Monday evening-ish. Sun's going down, and I just couldn't bear to film the wrap up all day because I'm a little bit disappointed with myself because I did not fulfill all the prompts. I got this close. I was so close, but I just couldn't do it yesterday. My brain was fried from editing and reading so much, and I dropped the ball. I did not finish, and I wanted this to be this grand underdog story where I didn't finish any books in the first part of this, and then in the second part, all of a sudden, I got it all done, and I finished all the prompts that I needed to finish, and it didn't exactly happen that way. So, but I got really close, and you know what? I'm going to consider it a win. So let's do a little wrap up. First of all, we'll talk about the one book that I did not finish, which is The Body by Stephen King, which is for a book that inspired a movie adaptation that you've already seen. This inspired the movie Stand By Me that came out in 1986, and from what I could tell from the book, it was good. It followed very closely to the movie, or rather the movie followed very closely to the book. It's just that I saw the movie first. And there was one major scene that I had gotten to so far that was not included in the book, but was instead added in for the movie. So I found that pretty interesting. But for the most part, it seemed to be following along pretty exactly. Like even conversations were very similar. I only made it to 55 pages in, but this was the only one that I was unable to finish. I still plan on finishing it. It just won't be a part of the reading rush. Secondly, I've got March Book 2, which was for a book in a genre that I wanted to read more of, that genre being graphic novels. Already this book deals with very heavy topics. It centers around John Lewis, who is a congressman who was incredibly influential in the civil rights movement. And there is a portion of this where John Lewis is in a meeting with 5 other Black men, and there's a little note next to it that says that this group would later go on to be recognized as the Big Six. So that being 6 Black men that were very influential in the civil rights movement. Those men include Martin Luther King Jr., James Farmer, John Lewis, of course, A. Philip Randolph, Whitney Young, and Roy Wilkins. And in this, he talks about how he is the only remaining member of that group. Unfortunately, John Lewis passed away on the 17th of this month. I didn't know about this when I was starting the reading rush. I honestly don't even know what to say about it. I didn't know a lot about John Lewis before reading this trilogy. I knew some, but it mostly came from Black History Month in school, which isn't okay. But I would highly recommend that you check out this series. Next, The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. So this was for the prompt that starts with the, and also for the first book you touch, which I actually used a random number generator to pick this book. This book was great. I did really enjoy it. I think I would give this a 4.5 out of 5 stars, just because it was a historical fiction, so there was just that little bit of gap in my preferences for books, but I thought that the characters were very well written. It was a lot different than what I expected, and I think that it tackled a lot more problems than I expected it to. I expected it to stay kind of in one lane, but it actually branched out into a bunch of different issues, and it was really fascinating to read. It also followed a lot more characters than I was expecting. Also, I read Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. I can't stop thinking about it. I've already talked a lot about this, so I don't want to talk too much more about it, especially knowing that I'm going to talk more about it in my wrap up of the month, but like, it's so good. Then we've got Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I really enjoyed it. I was expecting to give it 5 stars for most of the book, and then I would say about halfway through I was unsure, and then like the last quarter of the book I started getting really into it again. But I would say that this would probably be also like a 4.5 stars for me, and I do think that this would be a book that I would read again. This one will definitely be sticking on my bookshelf. But yeah, I just think it was a really cool premise, and I really loved the characters and their backstory. Okay, that is all of them. I will likely talk about them more in my wrap up for the entire month, which is going to be a long video because I have read so many books this month. This is by far the most I've read in a single month ever, all time. I don't know how I did it. But I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you did, please do consider subscribing. I'd love to have you stick around on this channel, and let me know if you read any of these books or if you participated in the reading rush. And if you did, feel free to throw a link down in the comments and I can go check out your vlogs or your wrap up or however you wanted to video the process of reading these books. All right, bye.